Welcome, everybody. It's the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. And yes, indeed, it is trade deadline day. And what happened today? Absolutely nothing. The Browns did nothing on trade deadline day. Well, let me say that's not true, actually. They got worse, if you will. A team that is supposedly trying to win a Super Bowl got worse, trading Donovan Peoples-Jones. Now, I don't really care that they traded Donovan Peoples-Jones and got a sixth-round pick. But teams that are trying to win shouldn't be subtracting players. I think he's a minor player. I think they probably want to try to give an opportunity to Cedric Tillman to get some reps. But the bottom line is the Browns did nothing to address their weaknesses. Nothing. We got to get into all of it. There were some big trades on trade deadline day, but nothing involving the Browns acquiring a player. All the talk about quarterback, running back, wide receiver, out the window. That's all coming up. I got a lot to talk about on today's edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers.
You're watching Adam the Bull on the Bet Rivers Network.
So we have spent weeks talking about the Browns need a quarterback, maybe a running back, maybe a wide receiver. By the time it came down to this morning, I would have been totally happy with just getting a quarterback. Now, reportedly, according to J.P. Finley, who covers the Washington Commanders, the Browns supposedly offered the Commanders a sixth-round pick for Jacoby Brissett. So they admitted they needed a quarterback. Now, the report was that Washington wanted a third-round pick. Now, nobody was going to trade a third-round pick for Jacoby Brissett. But Washington showed you today that they were willing to move guys. There had to be some room in the middle. I understand not wanting to give up a third-round pick for Jacoby Brissett. I understand they didn't have a fourth-round pick in this year's draft. But you know what? Give them a fifth and a fourth next year. The Browns needed to address the position, and they failed to do so. On the last day to acquire players from another team, the Browns got worse. Now, they didn't get much worse, but they got worse. They traded the guy who was their number 2 receiver last year behind Amari Cooper. Now, I get it. He's done nothing this year. And again, I don't really have a big problem with the trade. And we'll see. Maybe Cedric Tillman has something. So far, every wide receiver they've drafted has been nothing, except for DPJ. And again, he wasn't a big factor this year, but a lot of that was the quarterbacks. He was still running a ton of routes. And I don't understand why the Browns couldn't find a way to get better at the position. What, they trust that Deshaun Watson's going to be healthy? That's crazy. More in a second. Get extra value this football season with Bet Rivers Squares. Win up to $10,000 in bonus money. $10,000. Bet $10 in same-game parlays on any game with the Squares icon to earn a square. What did happen in the NFL on this trade deadline day? Mentioned the Washington Commanders were very busy. The Commanders traded Chase Young to San Francisco for a third-round pick in next year's draft. They also traded Montez Sweat to the Bears for a second-round pick in this year's draft. Now, a couple things here. Number one, this led me to believe that they would trade or to some level be flexible. There's no way on earth that Washington really thought they would get, I don't care what the report is, there's nowhere on earth that Washington thought they would get a third-round pick for Jacoby Brissett. If the Browns were completely inflexible, some people want to give the Browns credit for, well, they reportedly, we don't know for sure, but it's a credible source, certainly, J.P. Finley from Washington, reportedly offered a sixth-round pick. Now, what happened from there? Was there room to go in between? Obviously, a third is too much to give up. Sixth, you got to give up a little more than that. Teams know you're desperate, and they weren't desperate enough. And maybe Deshaun Watson's going to come back this week, maybe next week. But I'm not going to trust Deshaun Watson the rest of the season. He's been terrible as a Browns quarterback so far. His shoulder's been awful. He looked horrendous when he came in the last game against Indianapolis. At this point, I don't know how they have any belief that he's going to be in a good position to help to play winning football anytime soon. And P.J. Walker's trash. He's absolute no offense. I shouldn't use that word. It's not nice, but I'm sorry. I'm just so frustrated. I was convinced today that despite All the rumblings being the Browns wouldn't do anything at quarterback. I convinced myself, Andrew Berry's smart, Kevin Stefanski's smart. They know they need a quarterback. This is unsustainable. You can't win with a quarterback this bad. Well, that's what they're going to keep trying to do. They've won 2 of 3. They've been very lucky to do that. They've won in spite of him. He is a turnover machine. The guy has 6 touchdowns and 18 turnovers in his NFL career. Are you kidding me? Now you go the free agent route, but if they do that, then what were they waiting for? But at this point, I'll take anything. Sign Carson Wentz, sign Nick Foles. Anything is better than P.J. Walker. And frankly, they just should play the young guy. They thought DTR was good enough. Get him ready this week. Let's go. I want Kevin Stefanski to announce on Wednesday that DTR is the quarterback. We know who P.J. Walker is. He's not an NFL quarterback. He stinks. He is terrible. DTR was terrible in his first game, but that's his first game. At least there's some potential here. So let's go, Kevin Stefanski. You've done a fantastic job as head coach this year. Now, the front office let you down. They didn't get you a quarterback. And the Browns are in dire straits because we have no idea when Deshaun Watson's going to play. And it's very questionable as to whether he'll be able to play at a winning, effective level anytime soon, if at all, this year. So that's it. Unless you go dip into the free agent market with a bunch of schlubs there, which I think they would have done already if they were going to do it, you're down to DTR and P.J. Walker. So we know P.J. Walker stinks. I'm not giving him credit for the 2 wins. He stinks. They won in spite of him. Are you kidding me? Give him credit? He's got 1 touchdown and 6 turnovers this year. Give him credit for the 2 wins. Are you insane? They're just lucky he didn't screw it up. He screwed it up this week, and so did the defense. They choked on that final drive. And he almost screwed it up last week. And so did the defense. Now, this is beyond frustrating. If you're a diehard Browns fan, you got to be so pissed right now. I'm pissed right now. We'll never know what the negotiation was, or if the Browns just said, hey, we'll give you a 6th-round pick for Jacoby. That's it. We're not going any higher. If that's it, shame on them. The fact that you reached out to Washington is an acknowledgement that your quarterback's not good enough. You can't lose the turnover battle each week. The Browns are lucky to be 4-3. They have lost the turnover battle in 6 of 7 games this year. I mean, it's terrible. They're the second worst turnover differential in the league. You can't keep winning this way with a quarterback who doesn't value taking care of the ball. So let's see DTR again. I know he was a disaster. He was thrown in there. It was a tough spot. He should have known. He should have been more prepared. Tough spot. Give him another chance. Let him play against Arizona. Arizona stinks. They're going with a guy making his NFL debut. In Clayton Tune, probably, although I guess it's possible Kyler Murray's going to play. I'm sick of looking at P.J. Walker. He can't play. He can't protect the ball. So you didn't make a trade. You sat on your hands. Oh, great. You got a 6th round. I got some idiots on Twitter talking about, Andrew Berry, masterclass. Why? Because of what? Because Josh Dobbs got traded for 7 and you got a 5 and you got a 6 for DPJ? Who gives a rat's ass about late round picks? Masterclass my ass. I have defended this team all year. I've defended the coach. I've defended the front office. Let's go. A failure to not get a quarterback. Oh, boo. Who'd you want them to get? Then nobody's any better. Jacoby Brissett is way better. Andy Dalton, way better. Jameis Winston, I don't love him, but he's way better than P.J. freaking Walker. This guy shouldn't even be in the NFL. The only option now is to let DTR play. Get P.J. Walker off the freaking field, please. And I think I just said DPJ. DTR. Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I don't know if he can play. He looked like he couldn't play his first game. I'm not there at practice. I don't know what's going on. The coaching staff does. But if he's shown them anything in practice, they committed to him as their backup quarterback in the beginning of the season. They must have seen something with this guy. So give him a chance. Now's the time. If he can do it against Arizona, then he gets some confidence going into trying to get revenge against Baltimore next week. How can you rely on Deshaun Watson? I see people on Twitter saying, well, they must think Deshaun Watson's going to be okay. That's impossible. It's impossible to think he's going to be okay. It's not even 2 weeks ago, he threw 5 passes. He looked like his arm was dead. But 2 weeks later, you're confident he's going to be okay? That's nuts. Nobody else in the division did anything. The Bengals, they never trade draft picks. I thought the Bengals should have tried to get a tight end. They didn't do anything. By the way, the 6th-round pick the Browns got for Donovan Peoples-Jones is in 2025. It's big. That's what they needed to give up a player for. I want to see Cedric Tillman play because David Bell is a nothing, and Anthony Schwartz is already out of the NFL. So maybe Cedric Tillman finally gets a chance and does something. Who knows? I mean, no quarterback to throw to him, so who knows? We'll see. It'll be interesting to see if Donovan Peoples-Jones gets in the mix at all. Detroit's obviously a much better offense than the Browns, but they've got guys way ahead of it. I mean, at best, Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to be the 5th option on that offense at best in the passing game. Rasul Douglas got traded along with a 5th-round pick to the Bills for a 3rd-round pick. There was a report by Jeremy Fowler that teams are reaching out to T. Higgins. Well, of course they're not going to trade T. Higgins. What team trying to win a Super Bowl trades a starting wide receiver? Now, again, T. Higgins is way better than DPJ. I'm not trying to compare the things, but, anyway, they would, of course, not trading T. Higgins. Our old buddy Josh Dobbs got traded. People wanted Josh Dobbs. Listen, I guess I would have even taken Josh Dobbs. I don't know that he's much better. He's in the same. I mean, he's terrible too. He's not good. He's better than PJ Walker, but not really. I mean, not any significant. There were guys who were significantly better, and they didn't go after any of them, or they didn't get any of them. Dobbs in a 7th-round pick to the Vikings for a 6th-round pick. And the Vikings also traded one of their starting guards, Ezra Cleveland, to the Jaguars for a 2024 6th-round pick. That's it at the trade deadline. There's a couple big deals, obviously, involving Washington, but at the end, the only thing the Browns do is remove a starting wide receiver, a guy who was taking about 80% of the plays, and he didn't do much with it, but nobody at wide receiver has done much except for Amari Cooper and David Njoku recently, tight end, of course. And got a 2025 6th-round pick. Golly, that's great. Browns did nothing to improve their team. Zilch. Zero. The Browns roster is worse today than it was yesterday. They did add Kenyon Drake, a guy who was interested at the beginning of the year, to the practice squad, although at this point they don't really need they don't need another running back like him. I would have liked to see them do something big for a wide receiver or running back, but I figured that was a long shot. The quarterback was where it was at, and the Browns failed to address it. So now they move forward. I'll be fascinated to see what Kevin Stefanski says in his press conference on Wednesday. I do not want P.J. Walker to be the quarterback anymore. We can't have it. Hopefully they shock us and Deshaun Watson's ready to play. But even if the Browns say Deshaun Watson has a chance to play, even if they say he's the starter, even if Kevin Stefanski comes out tomorrow, Wednesday, and says Deshaun Watson will start, I'll believe that he's going to start, but I'll have no confidence he's going to play well. Not based on what I saw 2 weeks ago. It's impossible for me to believe that 2 weeks after what we saw against Indianapolis, that all of a sudden his shoulder's going to be totally fine. Which means, if that's not the case, that they're going to start one of these two guys. Probably P.J. Walker, although I'm hopeful it's not the case. The fact that they didn't make a trade, you'd hope they believe he's going to be back by Baltimore at least in 2 weeks. As I said before, I just don't see how that's possible. How could they possibly be confident in anything from Deshaun Watson? Not to mention the reality. Yes, I just scratched my nose. It wasn't a pick. It was a scratch. I need some water. Hold on. Not to mention, Watson's not played well. That's the bottom line. I love the trade at the time. Right now, it looks terrible. I'm not giving up on it. I still think Deshaun Watson can turn it around, but I don't think it's going to happen this year. And now we're stuck. If Deshaun Watson cannot play at a winning level, then the season's essentially over. If he can't play at any kind of good level, the Browns can't win. They can't. I don't even think they can get to the playoffs without Deshaun Watson. I don't think they can get. I know they've won 2 or 3. Hopefully, I'll be wrong. I don't think they can get to the playoffs with DTR or PJ Walker as their quarterback. I just don't see it. Now, maybe DTR gets a second opportunity, and he looks like the guy that showed promise in the preseason. Maybe. With PJ Walker, things are not going to get better. The guy is a turnover machine. Pathetic. Anyway, Browns do obviously have a big game this Sunday. They're at last check on the Bet Rivers. In fact, let me bring it up. Let me bring it up here at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Let's see the latest line on the Browns. So frustrated. Browns, it's up to 8. So even with no trade, Vegas is us here at Bet Rivers, where the spread started at 7.5, went to 7, went back to 7.5, now 8. So the Browns are an 8-point favorite at home. I guess after the word that Clayton Tune is likely to start for Arizona. We don't know yet who's starting for the Browns, but the Browns are an 8-point favorite on the Bet Rivers Sportsbook against the Cardinals. Other games in the division, we'll talk more about them later in the week. Steelers are a 2.5-point favorite Thursday night. I'll give you that pick right now. I'm going to do a Thursday podcast, but I'll pick this game now. I'm taking the Titans. I love what I saw from Will Levis. Now it's a second game. It's on the road, tough spot, but I'm going to take the Titans. Probably crazy. Steelers probably win this game big, but I'm going to take the Titans. I don't like the Steelers quarterback situation. I'm probably going too nuts for Will Levis being prisoner of the moment, but I'm going to buy into it. I'll take the Titans plus 2.5. The other spreads, we'll pick the games on Thursday's podcast, but the Bengals are a 2.5-point favorite on Sunday Night Football against the Bills, and I think the Ravens are on a bye. I think the Ravens are on a bye this week, aren't they? I'm trying to remember. I'm so frustrated about all this stuff. Let's see. It's still stunning to me. I should not be surprised that the Browns didn't make a move. But, the Ravens are not on the bye. The Ravens play in Seattle this week. That's right. At home before they host the Browns next week. Shouldn't be surprised. None of us should be surprised that the Browns didn't do anything. I just convinced myself today that the Browns would do something, and I'm disappointed that they didn't. All right, that's going to do it for me today. Thanks to Alex for producing, filling in for Monzo. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button on my YouTube page at the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. So you'll get alerts. Hit the bell, hit the subscribe button. You'll get alerts as to whenever I put out a podcast. Frustrating. It'd be, I wonder if the Browns, I've been saying, I've been kind of poo-pooing the free agent option because, why wouldn't they have done it already? But I guess if they've gotten different news on Watson this week, maybe they will. Maybe they'll bring in, I'm not a big Carson Wentz guy, but gosh, he has seemed unpopular, and there's a reason he's a free agent, but at least the guy's played some great football in his career. He has. It's been a while, and there's been a lot of ugly football, but man, I'd take Carson Wentz right now. I can't believe I'm saying that. I've been against him all year, but at this point, it feels so desperate, and I want the Browns to have a chance. They got a good team. They can't get the worst quarterback play in the league. This stinks. Well, maybe we'll feel better after this weekend. We'll regroup. We'll see what happens by the time I come on again on the podcast Thursday. Maybe we'll know who the Brown starter is going to be. Maybe they add somebody in free agency. Who the hell knows? And we'll feel a little better. Thanks again to Alex for producing today and for Monzo. Thanks to all of you for watching. Repeating myself here, but I love you all. We'll talk to you next time. Where else? But right here, Bet Rivers and the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. See ya.